And, speaking of people to laugh at, we are starting with Ric Flair because
Woo!
we said about a month ago that we weren't going to talk about Mr. Richard Flairion anymore because he's kind of crazy and gone off the deep end. But there's not a lot to talk about this week, so we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, and I really do mean that because this guy is really fishing for attention, and he decided to, I guess, have people stop talking about his fifth divorce like that he's going through. He decided to go back to his new pastime of throwing shade at Becky Lynch. And not that I care or anything, but Rick on his fucking Woo Nation podcast or whatever the fuck it's called, when talking about Ronda Rousey, who recently returned, and we'll talk about because what a return it's been. He said, and I have the quote here, let me read it. Once again, she is not Ronnie. She is Ronda Rousey. Anybody who's stupid enough to call her Ronnie and make a joke of her presence and what she brings to the company is out of their minds. AKA, what is her name now? Big Time Bex. Hey, Ronnie, welcome back. That's exciting. That's really exciting. How about thank you, Ronda, for showing up because I'm not the man anymore. I'm generic. Who am I? Big Time Bex, the last kicker? I don't know. That's really funny because he's like, what's her name now? And then says her exact name and then even says her old nickname. So, great job downplaying it. He doesn't seem to understand like kayfabe, I think, which is weird because he's an old timer. So you think he would love that shit. It'd be really weird if Becky Lynch, went up to Ronda on Monday and was just like, oh, thank you for coming back, Ronda. It's fantastic that you're here. Oh, gosh, I didn't hate you 2 years ago, and you didn't hate me 2 years ago, especially because I ruined your babyface run, which, again, we'll talk about later. But anyway, Becky actually responded on Twitter as, there's not many wrestlers better at Twitter than Becky Lynch. But she responded on Twitter, and her quote was very simple, but it was, work so hard, your heroes become your rivals, then become so good, Ric Flair loses his mind every time you breathe, which is a pretty straightforward way to tie into your current storyline with Lita and then take a jab at Ric Flair. And then Ric Flair really just took a helicopter ride all up and down the fucking roster as he also talked shit about Sami Zayn, of all people. Really odd. And when talking about Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, he said, that Knoxville, the only guy on the roster that Zayn could probably beat. If he gets heat with me, he's got to get heat with the marks. I don't know what that means because the marks aren't on your side, Rick. Like, I don't know what you mean. Like, first of all, we're the marks because mark it down. We invented the term marks, first of all, and we're not on your side. But then he goes on to say, for me personally, when I got to make small talk to get along with Sami Zayn, that's all I've got to say. When I got to walk through to make small talk with Kevin Owens, who is 10 times a performer and a great guy, who understands and respects who I am, and Sami Zayn kind of easing around in the hallway, and I got to make small talk to connect with them, he's done in my book. So that's the end of the quote. I should have signified when it started and ended. But he didn't make a lot of sense right there. I think we kind of get what he's getting at. And, from multiple people said that Sami Zayn is a pain in the ass, like, to talk to. He's
not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Not a bad guy.
But just annoying. Like, and not in a terrible way, just in a, and the way they played him up, like, a couple years ago when he was a babyface, and his gimmick was that he wouldn't shut up and all the other baby faces would get annoyed by him even though they liked him. That was his fucking gimmick, and apparently that's kind of what he's like backstage, and that's not the worst thing in the world. So Sami Zayn hasn't responded yet, but, like, I mean, at the time we're recording anyway, but this is clearly just an old man who's fallen out of relevancy, desperate to keep the spotlight on him. And, his issue with Becky makes sense because, the same way Becky derailed Ronda's face run, which, again, we'll talk about later, She derailed any chance of Charlotte ever being face ever again, and it working. So I understand him being bitter about it because it's clear that Charlotte is a little bitter about it, and Charlotte's at least professional enough to like keep it to herself, for the most part. Whereas Rick is just, he's doing the Bully Ray of it all. He's doing the Booker T, but worse, because at least Booker T hasn't said anything that like fucked up. He's just said stupid things we disagree with. Whereas like, Bully and Rick are just saying like just bad things. But Rev, you're my fellow Becky guy. What do you think of this old man yells at clouds meme we got going on with Ric Flair?
I was literally going to lead with, if this was one of your Raw rewinds, you would have put the old man yells at cloud meme right next to you. That's what this is. I mean, look, I think everyone used to love Ric Flair. He was, he was the man. You got to be the man. You got to beat the man. And he was one of the most entertaining dudes ever to step inside the squared circle. And he was entertaining all the way up and through about now. Or even a little before it. But like once really the whole Becky Charlotte friendship kind of started to, cool and then completely disintegrate. And Rick started becoming more vocal with his opinions about Becky and her using the man moniker and stuff. And then obviously there's the whole sexual assault things that came out on Dark Side of the Ring. But I think, at least in this conversation, that doesn't necessarily apply, though it still factors into everybody kind of not liking Rick anymore, which is a shame because I loved him. But that being said, the fuck is he talking about? Okay, like I don't understand. Like literally the first thing with Becky is just him being mad at Becky. Like you said, it's kayfabe that Ronda and Becky hate each other. And it's kayfabe that Becky's character would come in, disrespect Ronda, being like, oh, hey, Ronnie, welcome back. Like, not giving a shit or showing her any respect. That all makes sense. Like, what is he doing? And then just, trying to pretend like he doesn't know her name. Like, he clearly does, because he probably, like, reads her Twitter profile for everything that she says. Because at this point, he's just, a troll. That's what he is. So, damn, I don't know. I don't get him anymore. He's probably borderline senile. So, and he's probably, well, he can't drink anymore, but I'm sure he's just at a steady 0.02 at all times, just from the amount of alcohol he's drank throughout his life. As for the Sami stuff, I don't get it. It sounds to me like he ran into Sami one time backstage and they didn't hit off, and now he just doesn't like Sami Zayn. And once again, he's just yelling at a cloud. So, Rick, man, just stop, because you're gonna ruin your legacy, dude, and it's just not worth it. You're gonna say something you can't take back, and you're done. And just stop before that happens, please.
Yeah, old people shouldn't be on social media, and I'm gonna include podcasts in social media right now because you're gonna say stupid shit all the time. Like,
I'm gonna make an exception for the Iron Sheik. I know that's not him, but
yeah, but that's fair. No complaints there. But yeah,
fuck the Hulk Hogan.
It's just so silly. Like, I don't know what this man wants. He really, I mean, I know what he wants. He just wants relevancy. He just wants to be in the spotlight and have people talking about it. Like I said, and like you just said, Rev, like we've already said twice now, like he's pretending not to know her name, but then he says her exact nicknames, and he's saying she's generic. Like, what's generic about her? Becky as a heel right now, which she shouldn't be, we all agree she shouldn't be, but her as a heel right now gets louder cheers than Charlotte has ever gotten as a babyface, like ever. Like it's Becky not getting fully cheered is more than Charlotte's ever gotten. And I've ragged on Charlotte plenty, but you know what? It's just something that never worked from the start to the degree that they want it to be. They wanted to be the face of the women's division, but at the end of the day, she just doesn't have that natural connection with the audience. Like, some people just have it, some people don't. Like Becky has it, Dan and Bryan had it, Punk had it, 2018 Seth Rollins had it. Like we talked about it on our AEW like live recap the other day, but Keith Lee fucking has it. Like Hangman has it. Like that's just you can't force it. You just can't force it. They tried to force it with Hangman, didn't work, and they stopped trying to force it. It worked. And you know, I think Ric Flair should understand that for someone who's been around this business for so long. So he really is just bitter about it. And also, you know, every week Becky comes out. Yeah, again, this is more the reason why she shouldn't be healed, but like every week she comes out, there's a little girl in the on camera side in the first couple of rows with a Becky Lynch sign, and 9 out of 10 times that sign says the man on it, because you know what? Kids don't give a fuck who won that lawsuit. It doesn't matter that he won that lawsuit. We still think of her as the man because that was iconic. And you know what? Like,
still the shirt.
Yeah, Ric Flair was the man, but like, I don't think when I hear the man, I don't think Ric Flair. I think Becky Lynch. I think, you know, Ric Flair, it's the whole saying. Like the same way, I don't think of Bret Hart as the best in the world. I think of him as the best there ever was, the best there ever will be. It's like when Punk and Jericho call themselves best in the world, it's like, okay, like that's fair. Like with Ric Flair, it's like, bro, you barely ever called yourself the man. It was always connected to the catchphrase, which is a great catchphrase. Not that you invented that catchphrase. Like I doubt, I mean, not that any wrestler invents real catchphrases anymore, but like, you know, it's all taken because it's just, oh, like no one in your subculture says this, so you could be the first one to do it, you know, and that's whatever. That's just part of any entertainment business. But like you're just so bitter about, like, why did you sue Seth Rollins then? Like, why are you bitter? It's just because it's the person that your daughter hates now. Like, and really, like, I think they both know it's like once they both are done and retired, they'll be friends again. And I think they both even know that. So like, I think that's why they don't even have a problem hating each other right now. Because like, yeah, it's just temporary. It's just a competitive thing right now. But the guy's losing it, and Sami Zayn is in the spot Sami Zayn should be in, and he's thriving in. Yeah, I guess Sami Zayn is annoying, but like, and you got to get to know him to like him, or like he doesn't appeal to everyone. And speaking of that, Podcaster 4, what are your thoughts on all of this?
It hurts that I knew. One, it hurts that I knew I was Podcaster 4. Two, it hurts
Podcaster
that
3's not here. So
yeah. But why am I podcast? Why are you Podcaster 2?
Oh, because I host more.
Anywho, look, I was there for Flair's retirement match at WrestleMania against Shawn Michaels. I really thought as a kid watching that match, I was seeing Ric Flair ride off into the sunset. Can you guys think back? Can you remember that beautiful moment after Shawn pins him and Flair's just in the ring sobbing, and the crowd is just giving him the reception that he deserves? They're giving him the standing ovation that he deserved. And look where we are all these years later. It's not even 5 years later. It's way over 10 years later. And the man just never knew how to walk away. And he still doesn't. I understand that he definitely had a plan. He requested his release from WWE. They granted it. And he planned on going to AEW. Like, that was his deal. That's what was going to happen. And then that episode of Dark Side of the Ring came out, and those plans were derailed. So all Ric Flair has now to keep him relevant is the things he says online, whether it's in his podcast or on Twitter or whatever it is. And the stuff with Becky has always felt petty, because when he was with WWE, he was complimenting her to no end. He was proud to share this nickname with her. He made it clear even back then, you know, the man belongs to him, but he doesn't mind sharing it with Becky. And then the moment he left WWE and he realized AEW wasn't a thing, oh crap, I can't let them keep using that nickname because that's the only way I'm going to make my money. And it's always felt so Bush League. And Danny, it's true. Like, I've never thought of him as the man. I think of the catchphrase with him, but I never just thought Ric Flair, the man. That's not where my brain goes. Like, I associate it with Becky. And I don't need her to be the man. I need her to be Becky Lynch, because that's all that matters. I don't care what nickname we give her. We like her because she's Becky. And I just, God, has Charlotte ever had a nickname? Like,
oh my God, I was
She's
going to
the
say
queen.
that earlier. Like, okay,
the queen.
cool. And look how generic that is. There's 2 other queens in the fucking
Yeah.
women's division. All right. And at least they're queens of specific suits of cards. Charlotte didn't even fucking pick one.
And I think even then a queen, like, is lesser than, like, an empress that Asuka is. I don't know. But regardless.
Depends on your structure of government.
And there's 3 other, because we have Queen Zelina too. So
Exactly.
It's out of control.
I don't want to turn this into a shit on Charlotte segment, because truth be told, she hasn't really said anything. Like, thankfully, she's smart enough to keep her mouth shut, at least on social media.
We'll see.
But man, I don't want to see this continue with Flair. His legacy has been tarnished so much in such a short time. And not that I think he deserves a pass or that he deserves to be forgiven, but man, whatever fond memories I do have left, they are just swirling down the drain with every comment he makes. So, Rick, please just do what you got to do. Don't be a dick, man. Stop being a dick.
Yeah, like, he's such. So I wanted to touch on a couple things you said, and just a couple things I wanted to say, but I've kind of forgotten. Like, his comments on comparing Owens to Zayn, I think, really sheds a lot of light on it. He praises Kevin Owens basically for respecting Ric Flair and, treating him like a legend. And he just wants people who are going to fucking suck him off and make him feel good about himself. And, we could all understand why you want to feel that, but the fact that seems to be like the deal breaker for him, I think speaks volumes as to just how much he still needs his fucking ego stroked after decades of it. Like, have you not had enough?
I to bounce off of that too, let's be realistic. Ric Flair is in, like, the public eye outside of wrestling because nothing of that has to do with wrestling. None of the reason why Ric Flair is popular in the larger society is because of wrestling. It's because the man's a meme. Like, him showing up in, like, rap videos, him showing up in commercials. Like, I guarantee you most people who know Ric Flair don't appreciate him for being the 16-time world champion, or at least not in a wrestling sense. It's the guy became what he is because he's the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, jet flying, limousine riding, like, blah 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 blah. But that became a meme in society, and that's why Rick thrives, because that's that facade that he wants everyone to actually think is real.
I wouldn't even call it a meme.
Nothing from wrestling. Like, no rapper who wanted him. They didn't watch his matches in WCW. They just know the catchphrases. They know him strutting. They know him elbow dropping his jacket. Like, they know him from WWE more than NWA or WCW or anywhere where he was the man. Like, actually would have been the man. I'm sorry, Rev, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I wouldn't even call it a meme. I almost feel like it just became a part of pop culture in a way that most wrestling doesn't. Like, I think the only other person, or the other two, I think, would probably be Stone Cold and The Rock. Maybe you can include DX Suckett in there, but, like,
I would throw Hulk Hogan in there too.
Oh yeah, Hulk, back then. But, like, Flair, like, really, there were a lot of rappers who actually kind of looked up to the way he carried himself, because he, was wearing the nice suits and had the planes and the chains and the automobiles, not to make a joke there, but, like, and the Rolexes and everything. And they still do. Like, the dude's influence on just the city of Atlanta alone are huge. So, like, I wouldn't just call it a meme, but I think now at this point he's almost just a parody of himself in a bad way.
Yeah, And I said the name Hulk Hogan, and man, those guys are starting to have like some of the worst characteristics in common with each other. But like, I don't know, to real quick, just as always, as I have to do, I'm obligated to do, just to defend Becky a little more. Just a quick comparison, right? Like, you're gonna call her generic, but like, and since she's been back, and again, she shouldn't have squashed Bianca. I don't think that was the right move, and she shouldn't be a heel. But because of her, people genuinely thought Liv Morgan could win the Rumble. She wasn't really the favorite, but she was like second or third on the list of potential winners.
Dark horse pick.
Like, yeah, like, and that would have never happened otherwise. So like, that worked. And you know what? She's now, she gave Doudrop her best match on the main roster and the most serious anyone's ever going to take her. So there you go. There's 2 checks right there. And now she's in a match with Lita. Granted, it's at Saudi Arabia, so that's unfortunate. But in 1 promo or 2 promos, I guarantee this build is better already 2 weeks in than the entire Ronda Charlotte build is going to be, because Becky has a character. Becky has a personality, and there was, again, 2 back-to-back weeks. Ronda comes out on Monday, cuts the blandest, most boring promo, which, again, we'll get to. But Becky comes out, immediately injects life into it, saves that promo, and then saves Lita when Lita comes out, because Lita's fantastic and super likable, not the best promo. And this past Monday, cuts the most generic WWE written for you promo. Becky comes out, gives an element of character, says, "This is unfair to me. I have to fight my heroes." You know how messed up it is to have your hero try to take everything from you? Like, and that's great line, great character motivation. It's already given the story immediate direction to the point where like they don't even really need to add any more. Like, that could be it. Compared to Charlotte and Ronda's interaction on SmackDown, why do they hate each other? Why are they mad at each other? Why does Ronda really want to go after Charlotte? Charlotte has no like character. Her character never connects to the story because her character is, I am Charlotte. I am a robot. I am the best. That's it. So like, there's nothing there. But you want to call like Becky generic. Anyway, that's a little too much of a tangent on what I didn't need to go on the SREF.
I was gonna say, before we move on, I did have a question for both of you. I guess maybe more James though, because he understands backstage workings a bit more than all of us. But do either of you think that what Rick is saying might reflect poorly on Charlotte backstage?
Danny, you could go first.
I don't think so at this point. I think if Charlotte's own behavior has reflected badly on her and she's the one getting the Ronda match at Mania, I don't think it matters at this point.
I agree with Danny. I think at this point, WWE has shown time and again that they are willing to bend over backwards for Charlotte. I mean, they granted Andrade's release to make her happy. They granted Rick's release to make her happy. And
they gave her Ronda to make her happy.
Exactly. They gave her Ronda because they see her, like, I don't want to do this because it hurts me, but like, she is the Roman Reigns of the women's division.
Oh, definitely. Woman Reigns, as they call her on this Reddit.
And, I just like Roman could probably get away with anything, although by all accounts, Roman is a great backstage leader. Charlotte can get away with anything. She's shown it. She got into an actual fist fight with Nia Jax on TV. And Nia got fired. I mean, granted, probably deserved, but still, we never heard about Charlotte getting any heat for that.
Yeah.
Charlotte,
the title thing too with Becky, the title exchange nonsense too.
Yeah. Charlotte legit in that bit with exactly the title exchange with Becky. Even going backstage, she was disrespectful to Vince. That she just walked by him, and I think the report was she left the arena. Like, she gets away with this time and again, and it's because they think she's what we want to see. Or they want her to be what we want to see. So no, even if people are pissed about what Rick's doing, Rick is Rick at this point, and Charlotte is no longer Ric Flair's daughter. Even though Rick treats it like that.